Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Your Kids podcast. Today we have with us Adrian. Adrian, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adrian Cox Settles. I'm an author of numerous books. I'm an educational consultant. I'm a math enthusiast. That means I love math in all forms and fashion. I'm a test strategist. I help people pass tests. And the biggest thing of all, I am the owner of Diverse Interactive Learning Tutoring Center, which is located in Allentown, but we do have online services. So that wraps it up.
That and I'm sure there's many more things too. Well, you say you're gonna hit your bullet point, so
Yeah.
those are a lot of bullets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for all the work you are putting in to making sure that people are supported. Thank
You're
you. Thank
welcome.
you. I really appreciate you.
Thank
So,
you.
educational consultant, math enthusiast. How did we get here? How did we get on this journey?
So it started off with second grade, but I'm gonna speed it up. So second grade, had this teacher, she was really stern. And she would hit us with the rulers if we didn't know our multiplication tables. And so I went home, I said, Mom, I really want to know my multiplication tables. I didn't tell her why, I didn't tell her we were getting hit. But my mom took the time and helped me memorize my multiplication tables. And then after that, that was in second grade. So once I learned my multiplication tables
Mm.
in second grade, math was a breeze. I was in math competitions. I was in the newspaper. I helped people win competitions. I helped teachers become teachers of the year. Yeah, I have done my whole career was mainly based on math. I tutored math. And then I went to teach math in the Baltimore City Public School system. I taught high school mainly, and then later on I taught middle school and so on and so forth. So I've been teaching fourth through college. I've actually taught college also. So math was always my passion. And then as far as my business, I started my business as Math Does Matter LLC. That's the original name. But I started getting so many clients, so I had to, get other math tutors. So I hired other math tutors, and then people wanted to do English and Arabic and social studies and everything else. And so I changed the name to Diverse Interactive Learning because it's more than math now. However, math is still my passion, and so this is
That
where the
is
journey
so
came from.
amazing.
Thank you. Oh yeah, let
Second
me throw this in
grade.
here, and let me throw this little thing in. This might be a big difference, but I grew up in Lexington Terrace projects in Baltimore City. So I grew up in the hood,
Mm.
that's a whole story also. So me being strong in math, yeah, that's a whole story. So me being bullied and everything else. But me being strong in math was the thing that really helped me together because I struggled in reading. I had a speech
Mm.
impediment. It was a lot of things I struggled. It was a list of things that I struggled with, but no one could beat me in math. And so that was the thing that, I
Ah.
was really confident. Yeah, I was really confident. I was like, okay, you might can read or you might can do this, but I got you when it comes to numbers. And that was always my confidence. And math growing up was like my best friend. It
Nice.
was my best friend.
Yeah, I can't say the same. Like I can't say the same. Me and math, our relationship's completely opposite than yours. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm on
Yeah,
all the way on the other end of the spectrum with math.
that's
I
her
taught
story.
English,
Okay.
so yeah. So me and those numbers, we have a relationship, but not a good one.
So
Okay.
yeah. Hopefully, I have some I can put some influence in there, hopefully.
Right, exactly. I need to be going to some classes. But okay, so awesome. I love that. I mean, you should have told. Did you ever tell your mama that you was getting hit because you didn't know your multiplications?
No, I never told her that because it was just like everyone would get hit. And for our birthday, she would put us over her lap and hit us with the ruler. She was really stern. But because she was like that, it was an urgency for me to learn math. And, and that one time that my mom spent with me was extremely important because, we didn't have a close relationship.
Mm,
But that one time she put that one seed in focusing on math, that took me a long way, and I always wonder what if she focused on
nice.
other things. Wow. But that was good enough for me to, really excel and help others. Cause like I said, I tutor, I taught, yeah, and I've done YouTube videos and things like that to really help people. I help teachers pass tests, I help nurses pass math tests. That's why I say test strategists, because I help people pass professional tests also, so they can become a nurse, or so they can become a teacher. So math
Nice.
has really been a blessing. God has really blessed me with math, being passionate and being good at helping
Nice.
others learn math. So yeah.
Yes, yes. So your time in Baltimore City Public School, how was that? Like so you came from the classroom.
Yeah.
What took you out the classroom?
So basically, you talking about not growing up, you talking about teaching, right?
Teaching, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So
teaching.
I'm not a I'm not a full-time teacher, but I'm in Pennsylvania now. So
Mm-hmm.
I have sometimes people consult me, hire me as a consultant to go into schools and teach SAT math, to bring up SAT scores in different districts. So I'm not 100% away from teaching. And through my business, like I said, I teach teachers and sometimes nurses part-time because I have like 10 tutors, and my tutors mainly tutor unless I get like a special request, then I might go back because I do love, I do love it. With a special request, I will go back, but I'm not 100% out of the classroom. However, if it's a special request and things you look right, then I'm enthusiastic about going and teaching, because that's like teaching is like one of my gifts. I can go into a classroom, especially high school. I love high schoolers. I love high schoolers. So
Yeah.
when I had the chance to go back into the high school here in Pennsylvania, it was like 4 different schools. It was like a fish back in water. I was just like, I just felt that I came alive because I was out of the classroom for a while. But me getting back in high school, public school, the urban area, that's where I'm from. So I'm really connected to kids in the urban settings, because I'm from, like I said, the projects. And so I connect with teenagers. Yeah, so I connect with teenagers. I'm right here. I understand them because I was that teenager. So, but yeah, I'm not 100% away from teaching. It's just that I do it part-time, and it is my passion. I can always go into a classroom and just teach. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. But you also identify as a homeschooling mom. So how did you get on that trajectory? What was, was it because of the time you spent in public school, or just your enthusiasm for teaching in general? And you was like, oh well, shucks, I got my own, you know, let me do this. What made you homeschool?
So basically, I have 3 sons. So my youngest son, he was in so many different stories, but I'm gonna just stick to homeschool. So basically, we decided that I should homeschool him. And my husband and I, we decided I should homeschool him. And this was like the year before COVID. The year before COVID, because when COVID came, we were already homeschooling, so it was easy for me. We were already doing it, so I'm just like, okay. Um, so yeah, so we decided to homeschool him so I can make sure that he was, academically on level and everything else. And then my 3 sons, they all were skipped. So I want to make sure he maintained that level. He was a grade ahead. So when I did the homeschooling, it was a beautiful experience. Me coming from a very like not stern, because at the end of my teaching, really career, I was more lenient and, more like facilitating the learning of students instead of teaching, seeing where they are and taking them to another level by asking questions. I became teacher of the year and things like that. And so I had a lot of ideas of how to teach, not just a classroom teacher, like implementing a lot of strategies, and like I said, help my students win a contest at Morgan State University. Female Muslim students, they made history because they were the first time that females had came in all the math positions at Morgan State University, and I was the teacher, so I became the teacher of the year for that. It was like different things that I was doing. But when it came to homeschooling, um, I was able to be more free with my son. My son is a kinesthetic learner, so he's like, he's everywhere. And I understand learning styles. So I knew the first thing I had to do was get an exercise ball because I knew he was going to be bouncing up and back and forth. I knew he was going to be off the ball and on the ball. I knew he was going to be on the floor. At that time, I was able to gain patience because I'm a visual learner. Visual learners be like everything neat, straight, and clean and quiet. He's totally opposite. And so I understood in order to, reach him that I have to allow him to be himself because he's more of, movement to brain, activity. So I understood that. And so I did the homeschooling, and during the homeschooling, that's when I made like a homeschool planner. I made all these different things for homeschooler by me being a really strategic teacher. I took all those skills, and that's how I created a lot of books that would help homeschoolers because I'm very organized. And so I made a whole planner. I got a collection of homeschool planners for the year. I got binder kits and things like that. But yeah, homeschool was very interesting because even though when I did go in, I did kind of replicate the classroom a little bit. I did. I did have some of that still in me. And so I had to kind of release some of that, still have it structured, but allow enough time where he can process things. It can't be so structured where the child doesn't have time to process and we going from one thing to the next. So I had to allow him to process things. And it might not be as quick as it would be in a classroom, or it might be quicker. It varies. But me allowing him to do that was the thing with homeschooling. And and I have, like I said, I have consulted with homeschoolers, but that's how I got into homeschooling. We decided to do that at that time. And
Nice.
also, let
And
me say
say
this.
I
Also,
went
let me say this
ahead.
real quick.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, this one thing. And then in the summertime, throughout my other sons, I will always homeschool my children in the summertime. So it wasn't like I was homeschooling during the school, but during the summertime, I would homeschool them. That's why they were skipped. And I always made sure they stayed a year ahead because I would assess them and then get them ready for the year coming so that, they will understand what was going on the next academic year.
Yes, nice. That's what homeschooling looks like. That's the thing. Even if they are in public school or any other school setting, you should still be
Mhm.
homeschooling. So you was doing it, mom. Like you had
Yeah,
it.
I was
How
like,
did
yeah.
you like it though? So do you still homeschool or are they in traditional school?
So my two oldest, they are in college now. But
Okay.
the baby wanted to go to he wanted to go to high school. He wanted to go to public school. So we was deciding if we was gonna let him go or not. But the system that we're in is pretty good. So the teachers, I was impressed with my second son, with the teachers. Academically, they're really good. As far as religiously, we have to do things on the side because we are Muslims and we do practice Islam. So as far as that, we have to, supplement for that. But yeah, my son, like I said, he's kinesthetic. He's a people person. So, we was gonna test it out because I'm just like, if it's not gonna work, I'm gonna take you out and I'm gonna homeschool you high school. But he's like, Mom, I'm good. And he, got into basketball, even though he was playing sports already, because all my sons are really active. But he really enjoyed public school. But I'm always listening out because I'm just like, if you're not doing your part, if you're not doing your
Yeah.
part, we can take you out because I can easily homeschool you. Mom, I'm good. And he got a lot of good praise and things like that from teachers because he tends to get high scores. And they were surprised when he was homeschooled. They were like, "Where you coming from?" He was like, "I was homeschooled." They was like, "Homeschool?" He was like, "Who's homeschooled you?" And then he's like, "My mom." And it's like for some reason they think people can't homeschool. For some reason, I was like, "Well, they
Yeah.
really don't. They don't know." So It's a very good
Exactly.
experience, and yeah, he's in traditional school now.
Okay, nice. So y'all had y'all run and y'all ran it up and
Yeah,
got him where he needed to be, which was ahead. And
yeah,
he's giving it a go back in traditional school. And that's cool because it sounds like he's equipped with everything he needs and he knows that he can come back to you
right,
if he needs
right,
more. Yes, because you got a whole team of tutors. Like it's like, hey, what you need?
right,
What you need? Because we can get it
right.
right.
Right. And like
Yes, I love that.
I'm sorry, but my second son, when he would
Mhm.
struggle, I would say, okay, you struggling with something in math. If he didn't want me, sometimes he didn't want me, and I would be like, but I had to step back because sometimes they want someone outside their parent. Because I was like, trigonometry, we're gonna have so much fun. He was like, nah, mom, I'm good. And I was just like, just waiting for Trig, you know. So I let him get
Mm,
with the
mm-mm.
tutor, and I was okay. I had to separate my ego, I had to take my ego out of it. That's what I tell parents. Take your ego out of it. It's not about you, it's about your child. And yeah, and then my second son did take advantage, of my tutors. I was like, "What, you doing this AP test? Okay, I'm gonna hook you up with this. You doing this SAT prep? I'm gonna hook you up with that." Yep. So they had tutors. They can't complain about academics.
Nice. Yeah, no, exactly. That's beautiful. You got it.
No excuses.
So your
No
tutors,
excuses.
um are they all local in your vicinity or are they all around the nation or world possibly?
So they're all around the USA. I have a tutor that's in Washington,
Okay.
state, and I have a tutor that's in California. That's the farthest away. And then I have tutors in between and some here. I have two
Okay.
local tutors that travel to the libraries. And like I said, I have a center, a math center where I might go there, and tutor by appointment only. So yeah, that's what we do pretty much. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, so you have a whole math center also, a location.
Yeah, I have a location too.
Oh
Yep.
my
It's only by appointment
goodness.
only. By appointment only.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do.
Oh, that is so awesome. And so you do
Thank you.
one-on-one there or small group settings? How does that one work?
So thus far, people that have booked me thus far, they were like more. I had like a second grader. I think I had a sixth grader. That's all I had thus far. It's been like part-time. But I'm willing to do like a SAT prep class or algebra class, things like that. Because sometimes I might have a whole algebra curriculum, algebra one for the whole year. And a lot of times I do that online because we
Mm,
do SAT prep and everything. I have SAT prep specialist also. But yeah, by appointment
nice.
only. This summer I might be at the center a little bit more this summer.
Yes, I was just looking at that test strategist,
Oh yeah.
strategist, but
Yeah.
strategist. Because I was a very poor test taker. I was not good at taking tests
Mhm.
at all. It took
Yeah.
me a while to pass my praxis too. So what are some of the strategies that you like are focused on with that? And how does that look? Is that just a session or y'all do multiple sessions to get them basically it's like a boot camp for them to be able to take a test? Like how
Okay,
does
now you're
that
talking
even
about for
look?
the teachers? Are you talking about for teachers?
For oh yeah, well yeah, because they're for adults to help them pass like board tests and state tests and things like that. Yes, yes. Because I told you, girl, it took me a while to pass my praxis too, so
And I
I would have needed some
understand.
of this.
So
Mhm.
basically, I pass, I'm a certified math. I recently just went ahead and said, let me go ahead and take this math praxis test. It's the hardest one, the secondary one, so I did that in the middle school one. So that's the hardest one. A lot of teachers don't make it. And I did a whole YouTube video on how to pass it. It's hard. But the thing about it is, a lot of people, when it comes to tests, they have test anxiety, especially when it comes to
Mhm.
math and maybe when it comes to reading also. But for math, they have test anxiety. So first of all, we have to address the test anxiety because if we can't get through the test anxiety, I can't teach you anything. because you can't
Mm.
focus. You're nervous, you're sweating, you're breathing hard. I mean, you can't focus. I have to get you to a relaxed state where you feel comfortable because you've been threatened. You've been, there's teachers that torture kids in math. There's so many bad experiences that from me teaching math, I'm knowing that people that come into my classroom, 50% more than likely have been traumatized. Because the teacher had called them something, the parent has been too stern, and it's those
So y'all was
people, those people are the ones that have caused the problems in math that, I'm trying to undo, when it's been given. So a lot of times I get an adult that's still traumatized because of something that happened in elementary or middle school, and they just couldn't get through it. They just don't have the confidence. And then when you go and taking a test like praxis, you have to have confidence to get through it. If you don't, you're going to keep struggling and struggling for years because you're going to, you're not going to see it for what it is. It's a higher level type of test. And so you have to have a strong foundation, and also you have to know how to take tests. And so there's a lot of different components. So when it comes to that, first of all, we got to get through the anxiety. I got to let them know that, whatever happened to you in the past is not your fault. You have to understand. I know this been holding your life, holding you back. You've been avoiding math classes. You've been avoiding anything that says math. And, and it's been really controlling your life. And so I have to let them understand that, it wasn't their fault. It was whoever's fault it was. And it's time for you to live, because you can't keep hiding behind something because of number. Or your child has a homework assignment. Oh no, it's like you go into shock because you've been traumatized. So, when they have other traumas, math has a trauma also. People don't think of it like that, but it is like a sociological trauma, mental and physical trauma. So people have to deal with that so they can live a healthy life, because you can't keep avoiding numbers. Numbers are everywhere. So every day you're hiding, hiding from homework, hiding from this class, hiding from this program, but in order to live, you got to get through that. It's a process you have to get through and say, okay, I know this is happening. Maybe you have to breathe like you do with everything else, and realize that you're going through this because something happened in your past and it wasn't your fault. So it's time for you to take control and conquer this. And so that's what I have to do. A lot of times people that can't pass like the basic praxis is because they've been traumatized. Once we get through that, I can assess them to see where their weaknesses are, so I can just target their weaknesses and not do the whole thing. Sometimes when people study, they study the whole test. Why study the whole test when you only have 25% that's your weakness? And so once I find out what their weakness is, we focus on their weaknesses, and then we can come back to the other 75% just to make sure they brush up and everything is fresh. And so when a lot of people study, they don't study the right way. They study everything. And sometimes when people pay for tutors don't know some tutors don't know how to teach. They don't know how to target what you need to target. It's a waste of money to do everything when you already know it. You already have 100% down in fractions. Why are we still going over fractions? That's a waste of your time and your money, and it's a waste of their time also. Well, no, they getting paid, so maybe not. And so I target the weaknesses, and then we build up. And in the midst of it, I'm building a confidence up. And then once you get the confidence built up in math, it's like, I'm saying, you got to go in and you got to own it. You got to say, I got it. And then when I get that phone call, guess what? We scream together on the phone. We scream together on the phone when they call me and say, I finally passed after failing. And then that's when I get a good review. So,
Yes.
it's about a lot of trauma, and then how to think about the test. But the Common Core, it's a whole different level of thinking. I had to get to that level myself, because where I came from, the projects, the hood, that wasn't the type of level that I was taught on. Even when I was teaching, it wasn't the type of level until I got further into my teaching. As years went on, I'm saying, okay, this is the way you do it. Or in grad school, I learned how you think and how you bring things up. You reach the person where they are, and then you bring them up. And a lot of people don't pass when they go to these test centers, because the test center have a standardized test or a standardized method. Every method is not made for everybody. So someone can go through that and say, okay, I don't understand why I'm not doing it. You're not getting it, is because they're not personalizing towards you. You're different.
Yeah.
You need someone that's going to say, okay, let me figure out who you are. Let me assess you. Okay, she's struggling with fractions, decimals. We're going to hit this. Okay. And then when I go through when I go through the sessions, I can kind of tell where they're struggling because I'll ask them to talk and explain their thinking. And I can say, okay, she's struggling with sign numbers. Or I can say, okay, she's thinking this. And then I can see the misconceptions and then I can fix it. I can say, okay, you think when we add fractions, you multiply the denominators all the time. And I can say, oh, to fix this, go with misconception, which they've been doing. That's why they've been getting things wrong. That actually helps them also. So it's like a whole method, and then they become comfortable with me. Some people just want a dollar, just want money. So, you're getting it wrong. They be like, I don't understand. You're getting it wrong. I explained it 50 million times. I mean, that's not the way you tutor a person. If the person is
Yeah.
still getting it wrong, I got to think, okay, they're getting it wrong. What do I have to do? What do I have to do? What strategy can I put? Because I need to do something in order to help them. It's not them, it's me. How do I have to think about it? And then sometimes I got to think I got to change up the way I'm doing something to something else. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this way, then I get in this method. Let me try this method. And then when I try a different method, they get it. So it's not about them not getting it. It's about what I need to do to make sure they get it because I'm skilled. I just had to be really creative and say, okay, they're struggling with seeing it like this. Let's make a box. They're struggling with doing it like this. Let's make a table. And I tell them, I said, when it comes to it, you can do it any method you want. To get to it, you just have to get to the answer. And I try to tell people, I
Yes.
try not to tell them to think like me. I listen to them to see how they think. And then I bring them up because I'm not like, okay, we're going to do this, 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 and this. I'm like, how do you think? What do you feel? And then once I try to see how they think, I try to get them, methods close to how they think. So I'm pushing them up
Yeah.
in the midst of it. They're not like carbon copies of me. They can't take me to the test. So why should I try to make people like me? You know, so I try to see
Yes.
where they are and I can kind of feel out how they think. Okay, this person is really good with graphing. So every time we get the opportunity, guess what? We're going to graph. Or this person is, and some people are really good with critical thinking and with different things. I'm like, wow, that's really good how you get that. And then when they tell me, I'm like, okay, so this person thinks this way. And so when I see the opportunity, I was like, well, how would you do it? Once you take that strategy and put it to this, and then they start seeing it and they start feeling real comfortable in who they are. So it's not so much about me
Yeah.
teaching you, it's about me learning who you are and taking you and pushing you forward. And that's what I do. I kind of step back, see where you are, see where you're struggling, hear you talk, look at your mistakes, and then, help you with your misconceptions. And then I kind of, if you get stuck, I might ask you questions so you can get unstuck before I show you. And then if you're able to get unstuck on your own, I mean, you becoming powerful more and more and more. A lot of times you're like, oh no, I don't do
Yeah.
it. And you start self-checking. I sit back and you just start self-checking, and I tell people, I say, you realize I don't need to say anything because you got this. So you don't need to hear me.
Yeah.
And the person should be talking more than I'm talking. I shouldn't say this. I sit back, ask questions, and I see, you know, and then I see where they are. Because a lot of times people have a lot of information, it's just mixed up. What
Mhm.
equation do I use for what part? How do I know what equation to use? How do I know what question is asking? The same thing. It's the same thing, different student. Same question, different
Mhm.
students. And I've been tutoring for years. I never stopped tutoring. So I'm just sitting back waiting for the question to come. And I already know I've been hearing it for years. And so when it comes to test
Mm.
strategy, you got to build a person up. And especially in the Black community, a lot of times we don't have the certain skills. We didn't have the certain teachers, or we didn't learn on an advanced level. Sometimes we did. So if you're not learning from someone on an advanced level, someone pushing your thinking forward, and you got to take a test where you got to push your thinking forward, you're going to struggle because you're not on that level. And so
Yes.
you're going to struggle. You got to get with someone or something got to click that it makes sense, because you got to get from here to here, and you can get there if you have a person that's willing to help you, or it's going to be a struggle, because you're going to be like, dang, what did I do wrong? So you need to get with someone and say, you know what, you're weak in fractions, you're weak in this, you're weak in this. Okay, we're going to see where you are. We're going to get there. And so with English, if you would have had someone to say, you know what, your subject verb agreement is off. So I'm going to see what you do. I'm going to have you write and I'm going to go through and tweak it. And I want you to say, because you have to actually speak it, to write it, and they just, go in and see where you are and have you write and still start really seeing where you are and then have you get test questions and have you talk it through. I think, and they say, why do you think this is the answer? You say, well, I think this is the answer because when I eliminated that didn't make sense because of that. And then they'll be like, well, why? If someone keeps saying why, then they can really understand where you're coming from and they can connect it right away.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have someone that's going to push you, you're going to always have a part you don't understand. You're going to be like, I'm getting it wrong. And sometimes you might get it right. And sometimes you might get it wrong. You need to know for sure why you're getting it wrong. Okay, I've been making this mistakes 50 million times. I know I got a problem with this and this. I'm going to do this. You got to claim it. And when you say it, you got to say, I'm ready for you. I got you. I'm ready for you right now. You got to be like that. But if you're not, you guessing and you're struggling because the people that you hiring to teach you or to tutor you, they don't know what they're doing. And then sometimes they do, they might like give you everything they know. It depends on the tutor. They might want you to keep coming and keep coming. If I can reach you as fast as I can reach you, I'm gonna reach you, I just want you to be successful. I'm not all about the money. I want you to be successful because I'm like, there we go again. It helps me when I help you, and so a lot of tutors don't understand how to tutor. A lot of tutoring places don't understand how to tutor. Everything is not for everybody. You have to learn the person individually and do that. And the companies be like, well, how can we do that? How can we do that? It's easier just to make a standardized thing, get somebody in and like do that. Well, with my tutoring business, we do have one-on-one tutoring, where we can actually assess you to see where you are and then go and hit those weaknesses to see where you are. So I do have that. A lot of tutoring business don't have that because everybody grouping people in groups, and then when you group them, you got to differentiate. You're a teacher, so differentiation. It's a big word. A lot of people not willing. They want that fast money, so they group them. But when you group them, you lose a lot of people unless you're actually able to reach them individually and target at particular times. And so that's why people are struggling when it comes to tests, especially praxis. Especially praxis because our teachers, a lot of Black teachers, they excellent. They excellent in the classroom. They got the classroom management. People come and put their students in there when they have a hard time. They know those strategies. They can reach those kids. They can bring those test scores up. But it's this one thing is that test. And we have not been trained to take that test. And like I said, I wasn't trained over time of tutoring, teaching, grad school. I learned how to see things differently. So I can help a person that's not even doing a math test. I help a nurse. She was taking her RN test. I just know, the way you have to think to take a test, it's beyond what you're seeing. You got to have that. You got to think about what makes more sense. How do we eliminate? And then, things like that. And that's where the disservice is for us because we don't have people that's helping us pass it. So some of us are dropping out because we have a certain amount of time to get our certification, or we got to drop out the provisional or, whatever, conditional certificates, whatever it is, and it's doing a disservice to us because we lost so many great teachers, superstar teachers, because people are not willing to help them. People know they need help because they keep changing the test. Once we master the test, guess what? It changed to a whole different test. We was doing a regular test when it was just all math. There's Common Core, and you're like, Common Core? You got to understand Common Core first. You have to understand it first in order to get that. Like I said, I've taught it and tutored it, and then I help teachers and stuff like that. So I understand it's nothing to play with. It's a lot of stuff to go into it, and you got to have confidence. If you don't have confidence, you don't have it unless you already know automatically what to do. I can't hear you. You got a little closer. I can't hear you.
Oh, I had myself muted.
Okay.
I said, no, you were spot on with the with the test anxiety and the confidence building, I feel like confidence is needed with everything that we face. It's way
Yes,
different when you have confidence.
yes,
So
definitely.
yeah, it's like it's a different security, it's a different walk, it's a different talk. Like, when
Yes.
people are talking about things, you could tell when they don't really know what they're talking about because they're not really confident in whatever it is that they're delivering. So
Yeah,
you
that's
could
so true.
confidence goes a long way.
Yeah,
Confidence goes a
definitely.
long way.
Definitely. And like I said, we
Yeah.
have so many brilliant teachers, and that certification don't define your brilliant, it doesn't define that. However, it does say to everyone, I am you certified. I do have this, and you are on a different level. But I know that there are some great teachers that have a hard time passing that test. And that's why, I help teachers
Yes,
pass the
ma'am.
test. I help them pass the test because I know that. But it's a process. We got to go through the process and undo some things. They have to be a good listener. They can't be saying they know everything. So I'm like, you don't need me if you know everything. But I'm willing to help teachers. Yeah, I'm willing to help teachers pass tests, nurses and things like that, because I see it I have worked my way up, seeing everything. And then I learned on a different level. So I go back and I help people, when they get a chance to pass it. It's all about strategy and everything else. And, with knowledge go with knowledge. Some people got a lot of knowledge, but they don't know where it goes when it comes to the question. you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Indeed. So besides tutoring services, what else does diverse interactive learning have?
So, on my end, like I said, I have mainly it's tutoring services, but on my end, I have books that I have created. Like I have the homeschool planners. Hope you see it. So I have two
Nice.
homeschool planners in two parts. So if you want it for like
Mm-hmm.
from August to January, and then you want it from February to June, you can get it in two parts, or you can get the planner for the whole year. And inside the planner, I
Mm.
have a bonus page to a big homeschool page with a lot of resources. I have the contact page, grade tracker, I have website information, attendance logs, report card template, curriculum to consider, subject checklist, weekly timetables, a study planner, grade tracker, field trip logs, and more and more. Everything you need. Like I said, I was very
Nice. Yes.
everything you need, just gotta go and fill it in. You just gotta go and
Yes.
fill it in. And like I said, I've been a teacher for a while, 2 decades or whatnot. And when I was a teacher, I was always like the star teacher. And I didn't talk about this also, but I was a department head. I ran the departments of teachers. So I taught math teachers how to teach and mentor math teachers and things like that. And so I was really stern about being organized. So I was just like, you know what? I said, homeschoolers are struggling, trying to pick things together. I'm gonna just go through, and I went through, and it was fun. I love to organize. So I went through and I created a whole year of you just have to check it off, and it's in one book. So
Nice.
people were very impressed because they was like, wow, everything in one book. And I was like, yeah, I said, go through and read and see what's missing. One person, she's a big homeschooler, she was like, you have everything. Nothing is missing. And I was like, yeah,
Nice.
because I'm very, to the point when it comes to me organizing things. So I have books. I have, like I said, SAT, I have SAT vocabulary word search book. I have this book called the clear, concise strategies of how to get your child accepted into colleges. So I talk about how to get your child accepted into colleges. Like I said before, I have two sons in colleges. I talk about how you start off in preschool and the things you got to do as far as preschool and through the years and, the table talk, the mentality and things like that in order to get your children ready. Like I said before, I came from the projects, but when I always told myself if I have children, they going to school high and everything. No one's going to be struggling with reading, no phonics, none of that. No one's going to be struggling. That was my intention. And so last year I decided, so you know what, let me just put it in the book because someone might need it. What to ask the guidance counselor, how
Nice.
to go and get the scholarships. I talk about FAFSA in here and things like that. FAFSA, yeah, and things like that. And Yeah, I have notebooks and I have a lot of different things. I have like I said, hundreds. I have
Nice.
hundreds. I had different colors and things like that. And so I'm a big educator. So I was like, let me do some books. I have a math book too. It's like a math book with every type of math like sheet in it. It has notebook, graph paper, semi-graph paper, dot paper, so I'm like, why do people have to get different math books? With different papers when I can do it all in one because I'm a math person. So I was like, I'm always getting this graph book and then I got to get a notebook. So I put all the types of math paper that you need all in one book. So I sell those and yeah, a lot. And I sell business stuff too, but that's a whole different, podcast. I sell business planners.
Yes.
I help people start their business and stuff like that. But yeah,
Nice.
so we offer diverse interactive learning. We offer tutoring services. I offer consultation. I consult with homeschoolers. I consult with teachers and parents. Um, Teachers need help. Like I said, I was a department head. I teach teachers, this is the way you should implement this into the class, or this is the strategy you should try. Also, I've done in the past a parent-teacher mediation. So sometimes a parent might hire me to go into the school system to check the teachers, and I have done that. I have done that.
There's the
Normally,
way you said it with a smile to
yeah,
check the
I've done that.
teachers.
Yeah, I have done that. They have hired me, to set up, I set up the Zoom meeting with the teachers, correlate the schedule and everything else. Normally, I had two students that were failing everything. And these two parents, they were like, I don't know what to do. He can't pass. And I was just like, okay, they hired me. Okay, so the first one, he was 8th grade, whatever. They hired me. And then I correlate with the teachers to see what schedule was the best because, they give me all the information. And then I tell the teachers, I say in the meeting, he has an IEP, so I do want to know your accommodations and modifications. I do want to know whatever strategies are being implemented. What have you done thus far to help them? I want them to know this. So when they come, some of them come with their books and everything to the meeting. Some of them come prepared. One person said, you know what, I haven't actually picked up the IEP. I said, you haven't picked up the IEP? I said, you need to get on it. And so we have a nice meeting and they're
That's the
sitting there.
legality.
Right. Right. But this person wasn't really background, wasn't really a teacher. But yeah, he got it next time. But I sit with the teacher and then yeah, I sit with the teacher and we taught the teacher lingo. They was like, well, I was like, well, where is he struggling? Well, he's struggling with this. I said, but what have you done to implement it? I said, you can't just let him walk out the classroom. What type of things have you put in place when he walks out the classroom? And so I talked to the teachers and then I talked to the parent and I was like, he walking out the class, right? I said, so, we got to get this under control because the teachers shouldn't have to hold him down to stay in the classroom. I said, Mom, you
Yeah.
need to implement something so that he don't walk out the classroom because that's a big part of it. So I like get on the mom and then I get on the teacher and then I'm in the middle mediating everything. They say, well, this is happening. Oh, he's really improving. He's doing well. And that he passed. He graduated. Mom was so happy and so on and so forth. The other one also, he passed and everyone was, the other one's in 9th grade. But a lot of times the parent doesn't know how to communicate with the teacher.
Yeah.
They're kind of intimidated. Teachers giving them the runaround. The teacher don't want to communicate.
I was
And so
gonna
they
say it's kind of like an inferiority. Yeah.
inferiority complex.
I feel the same way. Like sometimes teachers, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So they hired me and I love it. Because like I said, I used to run departments with teachers, so I love it. So I feel like I'm running another department. Okay, so you have your IEP. So what have you been implementing? Because they paying me and I'm doing my job. I get paid to go in, and the teacher's like, okay, they sometimes, but some of them, well, recently I did it recently. Also, I forgot about that. Sometimes they come with everything. Really recently the person was 7th grader, and the teacher did come with everything, and so when you're checking them, they do come forward, and then they have to give the information to the tutor Because once I check and figure out what's going on, then that's when I tell the tutor, and the tutor and the teacher just collaborate. I don't have to get in it anymore. I just go
Right.
through and do the action plan. Once I find out what's going on with the teacher, what's going on with the parent, I'll say the teacher is responsible for this, the student is responsible for this, and a parent is responsible for this. I give both of them the report, and they are held accountable for what they're supposed to do. Then I step back and let the teacher and the tutor collaborate. The teacher tell the tutor, okay, we're working on chapter 1 on, division. And so the tutor knows this is the strategy we're using. The tutor knows, and so the tutor can support the teacher. They can both collaborate without me. I only get in when it's like a big issue. I just get everything started because I understand how everything looks. And then I'll back off because I've done my part, unless, the teacher is not implementing something. I was like, okay, can we have another Zoom meeting? Like that. Because I am getting paid. If I'm getting paid, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. That's my job. My job is to make sure the teachers are doing what they're going to do. If no one else is checking them, when they pay me, that's what I do. And I have
Yeah.
everything written up, and the parents feel more empowered because they was like, yeah, because the teacher is calling me now, the teacher's emailing me now, and the teacher is this now, and she never communicated before. I was like, yeah, I figured she would. I figured she would communicate now.
Right. I
So
know,
it's
and
fun.
I was gonna say, you think on a teacher level, like I felt like when I was in the classroom, that was the thing that was lacking, parent involvement. And I would have loved for parents to have been more involved. But I began in middle school, but then I was in high school. And then by high school, of course, they were really like, no,
Yeah,
nowhere to
yeah,
be found. But
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
if teachers and parents had that relationship, things would be so much more smoother if it was like a collaboration as opposed to when you in school, you in school, or when you at home,
right.
you at home. It's like,
Hmm.
nah, during these 200 days that we together, like we should all be on the same page.
Hmm.
But so I love that you are able to do that, and that people are reaching out too for you to bridge that gap, because that
Yeah,
gap is needed to be bridged.
it's
It
a big
really
gap.
is.
It's a big
Right.
gap. And I just don't only, like I said, blame the teachers. Once the teacher tells me what's been going on with the student, and if it's disrespectful, whatever, that's when I tell the parent. And sometimes I have been able to talk to the student because the parent be like, "Well,
Mm.
you talk to him, so he won't listen to me." And then sometimes he's scared to get on the phone, because I get on like he's one of my, I'll get on him, like he's one of my child because he's been tutoring under my business. So
Yeah.
I'll be like, what you're doing is not right. Don't let me have to come to Baltimore. Okay,
Yes.
okay, Miss Adrian, because it's like a family member. But sometimes you got to talk to people some people a certain way because they don't really hear you sometimes. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, so sometimes I have to talk to the student and let them know that's not called for. And then I have to talk to the parent and let the parent know you have to get on your child because the teacher is doing this. It's no longer me saying anything else. I just want to make sure they were doing it. Since they doing it, now I got to put it back on you. What are you going to do? And so I got to get on the parent. They're like, okay, I got it. I'm going to do this. I say, you hired me. You got to do your part. And so after
Yes.
everyone is good, I can step back because everyone has a responsibility. It's just that the parent is scared to communicate with the teacher, or the teacher might not even be trying to really care, not really consider the parent. And then when you have a
Yes.
meeting with the teacher, when you have a meeting and ask for a recommendation, accommodation, have you read the IEP? That's when everybody wakes up and start, okay, yeah, and then I'm speaking that language. They can't just throw words around my head and I'm not knowing what it is. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, so it's a blessing to be able to help people in that field. It's a blessing. But everyone has to
Mhm.
do their part. Like I said, parents have to step up too. Don't just hire me. Think I'm just gonna get on the teachers.
Right.
I mean, I will in the beginning if they're not doing what they're doing, but you're gonna have to do your part too because the teachers can't do it by themselves. Because I was a teacher, so
Yes.
I do have passion for teachers also because I was a teacher, but I am a student advocate. When it comes to the student, I'm going to get on the parent and I'm going to get on the teacher. I'm going to get on you. And
Mhm.
parents know that. I was like, you saying he failing, but what are you doing so that he don't fail? Are you trying to
Mm.
get him tutoring? Are you sitting there trying to work with him, or are you nagging him constantly where he has to leave out the room? What are you doing to contribute to this? So I had to
Yes.
hold parents accountable a lot of the times.
Girl, I
I'm holding
love
parents
that.
accountable a
Yes,
lot of the time.
yes, please do. Please
You
do.
know,
I
don't
love
just
that.
blame the children. You know, don't blame the child. Say he's this, he can't do this. What have you been doing to contribute to this? Obviously, you've been doing something. You know, have
Yes.
you been there, giving him attention? You know, have you been listening? Or are you just thinking everything is the child's fault when it's really you're the parent? So you got to take a lot of accountability, and he's only going to do what you allow him to do. So you have to take accountability. And that's how I, you know, when I have a good relationships with the parents in my business, you know, and when they really being honest, they be like, yeah, you're right. You know, I am on
No.
him. He's a boy, and so I have to really be supportive because they treat boys wrong. And I have 3 sons, so I'm a big supportive of boys. I say you can't compare him to your daughter. You need to stop comparing him to your daughter. They don't think the same. He might not be as organized. You're gonna need to hold his hand until he walk across that stage. And I tell him, they said walk. I say yes until he walk across that stage because he's gonna be in senior year, forgot his test in his book bag, and then he's not going to be able to do this. You're going to have to help him stay organized. And they be like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. I thought when he got in 7th grade, I could let him go. I said, no. I
That's
said, no,
exactly
watch
what
what happen. You have 30 assignments that you didn't know he had missing because he kept saying, Mom, I'm good. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I am a student advocate, and I strongly advocate for boys. So I get a lot of parents that have boys and girls. So I'm very passionate when it comes to boys because they be like, he just don't get it. He's so unorganized. I just don't understand. And I'm like, he is going to be organized. You have to help him. You know, he is going to figure his paper is in the book in the note in his drawer when he has to go to work. I mean, he has to go to school and turn it in. You know, he
Mm-hmm.
is going to forget that he has an open book test and he left his book at home. He is
Mm.
going to forget this. I said, I already know. I've been through it. And my sons are really smart. You know, they're different. But organization is one thing they need. And I will hold their hand and help keep them organized until they get accepted into college and those scholarships. And then I let them go because they're good. And they are good.
Mm. Nice.
And I can't say
Nice,
I'm gonna let
nice.
you fail. Oh, you didn't do this, so you're gonna fail then. Oh no, not on my watch. I'm not gonna say you should have studied last night and that's why you failing. And if that happened, I understand. But if you know someone got a test, they got a week to study, and you know they're not as organized, you need to think, okay, let me get with them and help them study because I understand they might be struggling. Don't say, well, I'm gonna see if you do it, and if you fail, that's on you. No, none of my children are gonna fail out of anything. Even if they
Mm-hmm.
want to fail, they're not going to fail because I'm gonna be like, no, that's not a choice that you have because we need to get this money and you need to have a successful life. So I'm not going to let you sit here and learn all these life lessons because it makes me feel better because I think you learning from it. In actuality, some of them don't learn from it. They drop out of school and say, okay, you said you're going to let me fail. So guess what? I'm failing out of school. And they do that when they teenagers, they do things out of spite. So you
Yes,
got to be
ma'am.
careful what you say, because they do things out of spite. They take your words and say, "Okay, you say I'm gonna fail. Guess what? I dropped out." That's how they think in high school. They really you got to be really sensitive because they take your words and they flip it back on you and say, "You said fail." You got to
Mm.
be really sensitive to high schoolers. So, but yeah, boys, I'm pro science.
Pro science. They need you. They
They
do. They
do.
do. Yes. Well, before I love everything that you are doing. And thank you. Thank you for being that strong voice. Thank you for advocating. Thank you for being accessible and available for parents and families to really reach out to. But before I let you go, can you tell me 3 things, or not me personally, but give parents 3 things that you would say would help them as far as their homeschool journey goes?
Okay. So, 3 important things that I would say. First of all, you have to know if this homeschooling is going to be okay for you. You got to know if that's going to make or break you. Some people really can't get wrap themselves around homeschool, so it's a struggle every day. And if that is so, then homeschooling your child personally might not be for you. There's virtual homeschooling. You can hire someone else to come and homeschool. You know, you don't have to be that particular teacher, but you do have to put it together where as though your child can still get homeschooled without you. So you have to figure out, you have to figure out, do you have the patience and the love and the compassion to really be that homeschooler, because homeschool is not for everyone, and you're not a failure if you don't homeschool. However, you can get someone to homeschool, and in my business we have like homeschoolers. Sometimes they come in, and my tutors, some of my tutors are teachers, and so they teach, certain topics. I have people come through my tutoring business, with the homeschool teachers, and their kids have went off to be very successful, in public school, you know um so if you can't do it, you can hire a tutor, you can hire someone else to do it if you want to still get homeschooled. So first of all, you got to figure it out. Are you going to be the one homeschooling, or you going to get someone else to homeschool, or if you feel as though your child is good with traditional school. Okay, after that, you have to figure out what curriculum is best for your child. So you kind of have to learn about how your child learns best. You can do a learning inventory. You can do one called VARK, VARK, visual, audio, rewrite, and kinesthetic. You can take that test to have your child take that test to try to see what type of learner the child is. And then there's so many different homeschool curriculums. Some are really wrapped around, learning styles. If your child's kinesthetic, they have some homeschoolers, where they have homeschool programs where they have manipulatives and things like that for the kinesthetic. So you have to type of your child. And then afterwards, you have to be patient. You have to be patient with the process, because you can't compare your child to a child that's in a traditional school. Your child doesn't need, your child might need 45 minutes of math every day, or it could be less, or it could be more. You don't have to compare your child with the classroom child. A lot of times the classroom child has a lot of gaps. You as a homeschool parent can actually allow your child to go through the process of actually figuring things out and, learning and, taking time to digest the information. They don't have to rush like they're in school. So when you homeschool the right way, your child is really more advanced. Your child is more advanced than those other kids that's in traditional school, because they're allowed to really go deep. They say less is more. Less is more because you can dive deeper into the lesson, and then once you dive deeper, you'll realize your child was sped through. Your child will be ahead. Once you take that time, you might have to take a year or something to catch them up, figure out where they are, dive deep. But once you dive deep, everything else will become faster for your child. But you got to put that initial time in, slowing down to figure out, and then dive deep. So I would say those three things. I would say figure out who's going to homeschool, figure out what curriculum you're going to use that's based on your child, and have patience during the process, because it looks different for everyone. The way I homeschool might look different from the way you homeschool. And it's just really important to know your child. And one point, can I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness. So a lot of parents make the mistakes of judging their kids based on themselves. They want to make their kids carbon copies of themselves. They want to make their kid say things the way they say it, see things the way they see it, and if the child sees it differently, oh no, it's wrong. Even though the parent knows this is the right answer and the child got to the right answer, and the parent say how you get to it, they didn't do it that way. Oh no, that's wrong. You do it this way. The parents are forcing kids to be carbon copies. Think of the pressure it has to take for you to be like someone else, think like someone else, talk like someone else. How much pressure is that for the average person? But parents are forcing their children to be carbon copies, and they punishing them because they're not them. Because you didn't say do it this and this and this, you're punished. You're punishing your child because they're not you, and it's impossible to be you. But you're not taking the time to understand who your child really is and appreciate the gifts that your child really has, and try to learn to figure out how your child is. You got to put in extra work. You got to put in extra work to figure out how does a kinesthetic child learn? What activities should I do? But you need to put the work in because it's really going to help you, and it's going to help you and your child's relationship. Because if you and your child are pulling apart like this, wait till the child gets to be a teenager and you think y'all pulling apart like this, it's going to be like this. I'm already going to tell you, you got to keep that bond tight because that educational piece is really personal. You know, you traumatizing your child, you screaming at your child, you know, your child can't do this, or you comparing your child to the sister or to another brother. Oh, your brother gets it. I don't understand why you don't get it. The parent don't understand that they're the problem. They are the problem because they don't understand that everyone thinks different, and they have to get out their ego to realize your child is getting it the way they're supposed to get it. It's the parent's responsibility to learn it, not punish the child because the child is not a carbon copy of yourself. How arrogant can someone be? How arrogant can a parent be to punish their child because the child doesn't think like them? And the parent doesn't take the time to figure out how my child thinks and praise the child because the child is different. Oh, you think different. Oh, you can do this. Now, oh, you're not like your sister. Your sister would have got that and you didn't get that. And the thing about it, the parent doesn't know how to teach that child. It's not the child, it's just that the parent doesn't have the skill to teach that child. So the parent has to learn. And of course, the parent doesn't feel that they have to know. They have to learn because, of course, the parent feels that they know everything. You know, so that would be the thing. You know, that would be the thing. I'm sorry.
Oh, you had to get that off. No worries. No, somebody needs to hear that, honey. No worries at all.
You think that was relevant?
I appreciate you. Yes, very much so. Yes, there's plenty of people trying to create mini me's. There's always, you know, oh, they're going to be just like me. I think a lot of parents get into their head of, you know, how people ask you, well, if you can go back with all the knowledge that you got now and go back and be 8 again or 10 again and, you know, go forth from there, then what would you do? I think a lot of parents see their kids as that do-over. And so it's like, okay, well, if I was to do this now, and because I have this knowledge, you ain't got it yet, but I'm about to tell you what you need to do because I know better because I've been through this. So I think like a lot of parents look at their kids as their do-over. And they shouldn't, because they ain't here to do your life, huh? They're not.
Right.
They have other things to do.
That's really good. The do-over, I like that. That's really good.
Yeah. So, but you know, our little investments, they've come here for way more greater things than we could even imagine. And if we allow them to grow and be and do as they are meant to do, it'll be magic happening, and you're a part of it. So you should always give yourself kudos for it too. But just let them walk they walk, not yours. Not yours. So no, I feel like the message was very necessary.
And if we can't help them, we need to step back and grab someone else that can. Maybe your sister is a math genius. Grab your sister and say, can you work with him? You know, being an excellent parent is putting your child in a place and having people around your child that can elevate them even when you can't. Sometimes we can only go so far, you know? And then we got to say, okay, I can only take you here. I'm going to bring such and such. And that's good. That's being an excellent parent. You know, I didn't have the skills, but I made sure I got somebody else to come in and do it. You know, and you were able to elevate your child to where they needed to be. And it wasn't like, okay, I don't do it, so my child not moving any further, you know?
Yeah, no, you spot on, love, and I appreciate you for dropping that real quick. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, and I look forward to meet you in person in Philly. And great times. Yes. So, parent, you have heard it. Adrian has reiterated a message that I definitely share at the end all the time. This is not a journey you have to do alone. Remember that. I just made another post about it will always take a village to raise a child, because it will. Regardless of whatever's being sold and told through media, it will always take a village, and we need each other, and that is what we're here for. So if you're not able to do it, reach out and find someone who has. Adrian has a whole team of tutors that is waiting and willing and ready to help. So by all means, reach out to them. All her links will be available in the description. So please check her out. Check her out. Check her out. Because I know math is not my forte. And I know when my girls get to a certain age, I'm going to be reaching out.
Okay. Come.
Yes. Yes. So thank you, Adrian, for all the work you are doing to support and make sure that our parents have the confidence they need to lead their children's educational journey. So thank you. And parents,
Thank you.
homeschool your kids.
Yeah, homeschool.